I was going through Dr. Diep's YouTube channel because I was looking to get a hair transplant. So I scheduled a 15-minute consultation with him and it has some really honest questions like what side punches are used, who actually does the extractions, how experienced are the technicians, and why is his price so much higher than the other clinics. I believe he quoted me about $9 per graft. Instead of giving real answers, Dr. Deep just brushed me off with arrogance. His response just watched the YouTube videos. That moment told me everything I needed to know. This is my honest experience and what you need to know before trusting Dr. Deep with your hair transplant. So before moving forward, I did my research. I looked up Dr. Deep's medical license on the official California Medical Board website. He's been licensed since 2004, so on paper he looks legitimate. But here's what people need to understand. Just because someone has a license doesn't mean they actually do ethical work or deliver what they promised. I specifically wanted a US licensed doctor because there are laws, guidelines, and accountability. If something goes wrong, at least you can file a complaint or even sue. With clinics overseas, you don't have that protection. But having those protections doesn't help much when the doctor hides behind his staff, avoids your questions. And speaking of his staff, here's a look at the team that actually does most of the work. In this photo, you can see his wife Allison sitting right next to him. But what really matters is this. Most of the people, not Dr. Deep, are the ones actually handling the grafts and doing the implantation. When you pay top dollar thinking you're getting Dr. Deep's personal work, you really are paying for a group of technicians to do it while he pops in and out. This next clip is from the YouTube channel The Everyday People. The video was posted about 3 years ago. You can clearly see the patient sitting in Dr. Deep's office showing the extent of his hair loss before the procedure. Later in the same video, Dr. Deep appears performing part of the surgery, which I believe he's numbing the scalp. What stood out to me and to many viewers is the caption on the screen that says, "I don't remember any of this." That's concerning because it suggests the patient was heavily sedated. In many clinics, patients are kept awake, aware during the procedure so they can communicate if something feels wrong. While some doctors use mild sedatives for comfort, putting patients into a deeper sleep can raise serious questions about the transparency and safety, especially when multiple surgeries are scheduled in the same day. About 5 months after the procedure, the same patient posted an update video on his YouTube channel. You can see right here the growth is extremely thin and patchy, especially for being almost halfway through the recovery timeline. What's even more concerning is that this was his last update. After that, he never posted again about his results or any follow-up. Then I came across this comment under the video. Someone wrote, "Must be another victim of Dr. Deep. Soon this will get a partial refund, but put under NDA and this channel will be taken down." For those who don't know, an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement is a legal contract that prevents people from speaking publicly about their experience, usually after receiving a refund or settlement. In other words, once you signed it, you're legally bound to stay silent. I want to understand how many patients had similar stories and whether this pattern, poor results, refund, and silence was more common than people realized. Next, I found another YouTube video that is named Tommy. His video was filmed just one day after his hair transplant with Dr. Deep. This is his only one video. When you look closely at the footage, you can clearly see the extraction areas, especially on the sides, have large, noticeable punch marks. They don't appear evenly spaced or refined. They seem concentrated mostly on one side of his head. Now, I'm not a doctor, but to me that looks painful and uneven. Not what you expect from someone who charges premium prices and advertises advanced techniques. It's honestly shocking that this kind of result could come from a clinic that marks itself as one of the best. Again, this footage is from a public video. Anyone could watch it. I'm just showing what's already out there. And next I came across a Reddit post from the user who said they had the hair transplant done with Dr. Deep's clinic. The post was titled "Botched Job by Diep, repaired by Dr. Louise Nadir." In their photos you can clearly see what they describe as an unnatural, straight line hairline with visible gaps between the grafts. It almost looks like the hairs were placed in organized rows instead of a natural, random pattern, the kind you normally see in real hair growth. Based on what I can see, it appears that the incision tool might have created multiple points opening at once, which could explain why the hairline looks so patterned. Later in the video, the same patient shows his repair results after going to Dr. Louis Nadir. The difference is night and day. The new hairline looks soft, natural and full blending perfectly with the rest of the hair. Unfortunately, that means this person had to pay twice, once for the poor results and again to fix it. When I searched Dr. D's name on the internet, one of the first things that I came across was a page listing several complaints about his clinic, including decreased quality, high graft transaction rate, and ethical concerns. It even mentioned that Dr. D was removed from the Hair Restoration Network list of recommended surgeons, one of the biggest online forums for hair transplant patients and doctors. I went to the Hair Restoration Network. I found an actual poll asking whether Dr. D should be removed from their list. Out of 86 people who voted, 86 said yes, and only 6 said no. That says a lot. Some of the comments were from longtime forum members. One member added, in my opinion, is based on the technique used, is not state of the art, poor donor management, poor extraction patterns, a hairline that lacks the micro irregularities of a natural look. Next, I found another detailed post from the Hair Restoration Network written by a patient who went to Dr. D for 2,900 grafts procedured. Right away, this person experienced raised serious concerns. They explained that during the consultation, they were told it would be around 2,500 grafts, but once the surgery began, the number jumped to nearly 2,900, and they were charged extra mid-procedure. The patient wrote that they were medicated and not fully aware when those changes were made. Later, when they reviewed the paperwork, they noticed parts had been filled out by someone else, not them. Then comes the most shocking part, the donor area. You can see from those photos how over-harvest, uneven it looks. There are large clusters of extractions that are way too close together, creating empty patches and what appears to be permanent damage to the surrounding follicles. When the grafts are removed that tightly packed, it can destroy the hairs in between, leading to what patients often describe as a moth-eaten look. Even one of the forum administrators, Melvin, commented directly, saying, "The donor looks bad. It looks like the extractions were too close together, leaving big chunks of scalp missing. This is not good work at all." Another member wrote, "This is alarming, borderline malpractice in the US. The donor area looks atrocious. This type of stuff might fly in Turkey, but in the US you're held accountable." Several others agree that the extraction looked rushed and careless, questioning whether the untrained technicians might have done the work instead of the doctor himself. You could even see the areas where the grafts were scored, but never removed, leaving behind deep marks and damaged tissue. And when you look at the patient's hairline, it has the same signature pattern that so many of Dr. Diep's critics have pointed out, a perfectly straight line, almost like it was drawn with a ruler, instead of a natural irregular pattern that mimics real hair growth. For someone charging nearly $20,000 for this level of work, the lack of oversight, transparency, and post-care is deeply concerning. The patient mentioned that there was no follow-up contact from the clinic after the procedure, just payment collection and silence. This post wasn't an isolated rant. It sparked dozens of replies, with many users sharing similar stories about overharvesting, billing surprises, and zero aftercare. Now let's look at another real patient experience I found on the Hair Restoration Network. This one was posted by a longtime member named Alex Messer21. He had 2 surgeries with Dr. Diep. The first one around 2,200 grafts, the second one about 1,750 grafts, totaling nearly 4,000 grafts overall. Right away he described how the surgery was mostly handled by the technician. He remembers seeing Dr. D briefly during the implantation phase, but most of the time it was the technicians who were working on his scalp. He even mentioned waking up midway through the surgery and noticing that the doctor wasn't there. It was the techs continuing the work. The day after the surgery, he said that his donor area was dripping blood while sleeping. When you look at the photos he shared, especially the close-up around the hairline, you can see the same signature pattern that many former patients have mentioned, at a very straight ruler-like hairline, instead of the soft, irregular pattern. By the 7-month mark, he posted again and said, "I'm about 15 weeks from the 8 months. I don't see much improvement. There are still a lot of sparse areas and distance between the grafts." Later, he even consulted another clinic that told him his donor scars was wide and that he should avoid another surgery for at least 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, he could risk permanent scarring or donor depletion. That is a major concern because by this point, the patient had spent thousands of dollars and undergone 2 major procedures, yet still wasn't satisfied with the density or design. Again, the problem isn't just one person's result, it's a pattern. When you compare this to other reports online, the same issue keeps appearing. Here's the same patient who decided to shave his head to review the full picture of Dr. D's work. Then when he turned around to show his donor area, it was even more alarming. A massive raised FUT scar, stretching from ear to ear. The scar looks wide and uneven, something you would not expect from a clinic claiming to specialize in natural-looking results. Other members immediately noticed it too. One user commented, "I'm sorry for you. It looks very bad. How can someone with that much experience be so lazy with planting in lines?" Another wrote, "Your scarring on both the recipient and donor is severe. Diep also left me with an FUT scar." Several users began to discuss the idea of a class action lawsuit, with one writing, "I'll join a class action lawsuit for sure. I just don't know how to start." Another replied, "Perhaps there can be a class action case, and Diep has many unsatisfied patients." This wasn't just one angry client anymore. This was a growing community of people realizing they weren't alone. So, I want to hear from you. Would you like me to make a follow-up video breaking down and the research on how to file a malpractice or negligence claim if you have been through a botched hair transplant? Or would you rather see another deep dive exposing more bad reviews of Dr. Diep? Leave a comment below and let me know what you want to see next.